week, you used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on the next day. Capitol rioter Alan Hostetter highlighted your comments at his sentencing. He is going to prison for 11 years. Hostetter threatened members of Congress. He brought a hatchet, knives, pepper spray, stun batons, tactical gear to the U.S. Capitol. Are you concerned that a convicted felon like that is now promoting your comments in court?
So here's my concern, Abby, and I want to tell you guys where I'm at. If you had told me, it's close to 3 years ago that 2021 happened. If you had told me 3 years ago, back when I was a biotech CEO, not steeped in this world, I was just consuming passive media, but was focused on my world of developing medicines. If you had told me that it was in any way an inside job, the subject of government entrapment, I would have told you that was crazy talk. Fringe conspiracy theory nonsense. I can tell you now, having gone somewhat deep in this, it's not. I mean, the reality is this. We do have a government, first of all, we have to acknowledge, that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of, about the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise before we now know that it was true. You can go straight down the list, the Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax, all of it. Now we come to the reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. If I may finish just answering.
Well, let me. I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you here because
I know this, the establishment doesn't approve of this message.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
We should be able to talk about this.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
This is important to talk about.
You are saying there were federal agents in the crowd on.
Yes.
There is no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on.
Why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none. They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that there's that you have not seen any evidence that there were.
So we've seen multiple informants suggesting that there were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked to
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this and then you can come back and question me?
You made this shit up.
Let me clarify.
I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my question.
I know this is an uncomfortable issue for many people, but we have to do the truth.
Clarify my question because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm asking.
I understand this deeply. And I told you, I was with you 3 years ago. I'm not there now.
Where is the evidence?
Yes.
Where is the evidence that the government had a plot,
let's do this.
An inside job?
But no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is because I'm not
violence on.
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in
I hope you get an illness and then get hit by a car and die.
Planning or executing.
Okay. I'm going to give you hard facts, and if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that. And you can push back on that, and let's do this fairly. Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released? 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd. You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing people in,
again,
right through the front door.
Majority of
that
the
video evidence should have been released before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast majority of the footage shows police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
this is really important.
rioters. That's
I'm going to give you some hard facts. Entrapment is.
Cherry pick.
I'm not cherry picking. If I may finish, Abby. If I may finish. I'm not cherry picking.
Examples.
To the contrary. To the contrary,
you know who cherry picked? You know who cherry picked? The government. That is what happened.
The government cherry picked 12 when there was 200 hours of footage. So cherry picking was the government, not me. Release the whole thing. And let me just finish one thing too, because this is super important as a topic.
So
I think this is a civil libertarian issue of our time.
When
Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping. I want to be really clear on this because it's the same issue in the same FBI, same even part of the FBI. 3 people who were in an alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were acquitted at the end of trial because it was entrapment. That is, government agents put them up to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done. They gave them credit cards with spending limits of up to $5,000, encouraged them to buy munitions, plan something they weren't otherwise willing to plan. So much so, and I want people at home to know this, especially CNN viewers to know this, is that one of the jurors went to those defendants and apologized afterwards, gave him a hug, apologized, seeing what the government had put a poor guy up to.
What I did!
Who had to go to some Mexican restaurant across the street to get hot water. These people were exploited with credit cards up to $5,000. FBI agents putting them up to a kidnapping plot that we were told was true but was entrapment. Same thing with the
14
Capitol Police. People
Mr.
letting them in
Ramaswamy,
freely. Many of those people then being
Mr.
charged.
Ramaswamy, look,
the government cannot put you up
I
to do
don't-
something and then
Mr.
charge you for
Ramaswamy,
it.
look,
That's wrong.
I don't want to have
That's
to.
wrong what you're doing. To the left or the right,
I don't want to
care.
have
It's wrong.
to. I don't want to have to interrupt you. I really don't. But I don't want you to mislead the audience here or
I'm
at
not.
home.
Abby, I think they've been misled by the mainstream media.